Hello everyone and welcome to Trail Tracker. Last week they opened a brand new dedicated mountain bike trail here in Zurich. So I'm here with Gav, the original middle-aged mountain bike sender. We're going to check out the trail, take you along for the ride and see how many of the features we can hit. Like all great mountain bike trails, there is a squirrel catcher. It's kind of a janky looking lip, but I don't think that should be too much of a problem. Now we did actually see two people attempt to roll this squirrel catcher. This is not to be recommended. Thankfully though, they did get away with it, just about. But it wasn't pretty. After the squirrel catcher, first part of the trail is pretty mellow and not too steep. The rollers and berms give it great flow, and there are even a few little side hits for good measure. Then eventually we get to the first big feature on the trail. So here we go, feature number one, which is a pretty reasonable drop. Now both of us are feeling pretty confident about this drop. In fact, Gav was feeling so confident that I only just managed to get the camera rolling in time to catch him in mid-air. But what we hadn't bargained on were the rollers after the landing. Whoa! So I thought to myself, I've got a plan. First of all, I'll miss out the drop and then gap the roller, and that way I'll know what to expect. And as you can see, whoa, that didn't really work. So we decided to leave that feature for the day and head on down to see what else we could find. Second section of the trail is probably the most technically challenging of all four. It starts off quite flowy before you arrive at the biggest feature on the whole trail. Here we go, feature number two, the PKW drop, which is actually kind of a shark-finned road gap almost, I guess. If you look at Gav for size, you can certainly tell this is not a small feature. And then when you hit the landing, you've got a fairly sizable gap jump afterwards. Not so sure about this one at the moment. And neither was Gav. 0 for 2. Next up, there are a couple of black options. The first one is a short, steep, natural section. With a ride around if you prefer. And the second one has a funky little drop on it. The Pine Air drop, not so big, but you pick up a fair amount of speed when you hit the landing. It's like a completely blind takeoff. You can creep up to it really slowly and then maybe like half a bike length before they're off the brakes. Woof! Alternatively, if you want, you can keep up to the right and avoid the drop. But it was the next steep section where we saw the most people struggling to get down the trail. There is quite a good catch berm at the bottom of the chute, but the entry is awkward and you do have to commit. First part of the third section is kind of like a wide flow trail with varying levels of flow. I'm not a big fan of this section.
These are quite good.
And a somewhat unsatisfying end. That sucks. They make the nicest berm and you come flying out of it into a shit flat corner. It then narrows and heads into a fun wooded bit. Before eventually dropping you out onto the fire road just before the entrance to the fourth and final section of the trail. The last section is a jump line, which we hit a few times on our first lap. We did manage to clear the first two features, but the commitment to hit the other jumps at speed just wasn't there, I'm afraid. So that's something that we'll have to wait till next time. All in all, the trail's got some really interesting sections. And because each one starts and finishes on the climbing road, it's really easy to lap the bits you enjoy the most. And apart from the squirrel catcher, there are no compulsory gaps. I would really like to have seen a couple of other slightly smaller drops though. This would allow you to get your wheels off the ground and build up to the two big ones, because those two features are considerably more difficult than the rest of the trail. If you've already had a chance to go and check out the Höcklertrail, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for coming along, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.